what would you say if you feel comfortable talking about it? What do you think drove the making of this, or the conceiving of it and making of this?
Yeah, I was interested in the juxtaposition of being an adult and having a sex life and being a gay person, also having a family, and how that often in my mind conflicts. I feel constantly like I'm thinking about like, oh, but I'm the little boy of this nice family, and then I do adult things and I make crazy fucked up stuff like this. So yeah, it's about the having this sort of dual life, and so that sort of I took that to obviously the extreme.
And how did you? I don't think my microphone's. How do you think about the aesthetic of the film? How did that develop?
That's a great question. I wanted it to feel as rough and dirty as the main character was feeling and as the art he was creating. So I wanted the camera to match that with the lens choice and also the film emulation I used on top of it to really make this feel textural and painterly and also confined and dark.
What is the film emulation?
It's called Filmbox. It's a really great software, and it does 16 millimeter and 32. I did 16 for this. It just felt appropriate, especially because it was a contained piece with very few actors.
So it wasn't actually shot?
No.
Wow, that's impressive. It looks.
Yeah, it's a great software. Highly recommend. Yeah.
And I guess in terms of the performance, what was it like working yourself into that sort of like heightened state?
Yeah, I'm getting very good at it over the years. One of the hardest parts, strangely, was just looking like that for so long because the filming process ended up taking way longer than I thought. I thought it was going to be like a month or two, and then I got this great producer, Anthony, on board, Anthony Lucido, who had a lot of ideas about how to make the film better, and he was right. And I was able to do it because I was basically the crew and everybody, and that's where I live. So I was also living inside this place with all these paintings everywhere, looking like this. And because I had access and I could redo things, I did redo things for a full year. So it was a lot of time to spend in that mind space. Yeah.
Yeah, and can you share some of the things that your producer sort of tweaked with it?
Yeah. Well, initially, the lover that you see come over was not a person. It was a mannequin I set up. And we were talking, and he said, I think there should be people in this. And I thought, yeah, there probably should be people in this, because there's so few people already. And also the same thing with there wasn't a scene where I actually killed the parents. That happened off screen, and then we're like, we should show that. So it was a lot of him pushing me to show more things than I was showing. Also the sequence with the me sort of rewatching the history of what has happened so far in the film in that black void space, that was an addition as well that went through many variations. At one point I had a baby pig as a child, and there was a whole sequence about me raising this baby pig, but it kind of seemed like, where are you going to go with that? So I refilmed it, and then I had to refilm, if you notice, the entire film. I had to refilm the entire film in a black void so that I could get that footage for the rewatching sequence.
Oh, wow.
So a lot changed, yeah.
Yeah. Any questions from the audience? Yeah.
I would love to hear about your sound design choices.
Sure.
Approach going into that, because that was deeply unsettling, but awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, well, for the music, I wanted it to feel as old and broken and ruined as everything else. So I found all these old tracks, which I thought really added to the mood and was able to sometimes lighten it, as opposed to the rest of the piece, which was mostly ambient noise, which I spent a ton of time finding exactly the right, pipes and a dog barking and whatever, because it is such a sparse movie with not a lot of dialogue and almost no people. It was really important that that was a character, so it always felt alive, even when there wasn't a lot happening. And then a lot of the moaning was edited me crying. And so a lot of the soundtrack is me crying, but edited and manipulated to become multiple voices. And yeah.
Anyone else? Yeah.
Can you talk about your performance in the sense of like, are you doing a scene and watching it and then kind of tweaking it? I wonder how you sort of like get into the
Yeah, sometimes I would do that. I mostly would rewatch for frame just to see, am I in focus? Or am I even in the shot at all? I did some great performances that were just like off screen. So I had to reshoot those. So mostly I watched for that. I didn't watch for performance too much because I pretty much knew as I was feeling it whether it was happening or not. Only rarely did I watch performance. However, when I was editing and reshooting, sometimes I saw, I could probably do that a little better, and then I'd go back. But like on the day, I wasn't really watching for performance that much. I was just feeling it out. So I didn't get too in my head about it.
And did you ever consider having a DP, or was it always you needed to do it by yourself?
I just had this vision that because this guy was so alone and isolated, that it would be interesting if the filmmaking process also was that. In the future, I will be working with DPs as well. But I thought it was an interesting challenge. I've also done it before in other movies, so I knew I could do it. And I thought, well, what if a movie really was made by one person? Then my producer came on and he's like, maybe not one person. Yeah, so then a few more people got involved.
Yeah.
I feel like this film really embraces like a certain sense of like architectural horror,
Mm.
especially with the way you shot a lot of the interiors. And I know you said it was like your own home. I would love to hear like your approach to finding the right compositions, because I feel like some of my earliest memories of being scared was just like being a kid in my home in spaces at night and just observing
Yeah.
the walls and the way that like moonlight hits certain areas. And there's a lot of like static ambient shots in this with like nothing going on, but still maintained that like sense of dread.
Mm.
And I'm curious, like living in that space, how you approached like, I'm gonna set up this frame here, because I'm sure obviously you have a lot of experience being in those spaces.
Yeah, it was interesting. I mean, one of the big challenges was because it's mostly in one space, finding a new angle to shoot the same space so it's not the same angle time and time again. And so a lot of that was lens changes, like the vignetting helped a lot to mix up some of the shots. A lot of the lighting was a huge, huge help, and not properly lighting things for the most part, particularly at night. Only using practicals and probably not enough practicals was how I achieved a lot of that tone. And then during the daytime as well, just not turning on any additional lights. And I really love the bloom of windows and of people backlit and not really, just generally inappropriate lighting all the time. Makes me happy. And then I basically redid the apartment to look like this. So thank you to my roommates who let me just do whatever. One of them moved out and I was like, I'm taking over, and now it's a horror house. Yeah.
Oh, where? Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
It's just amazing to hear your sort of the basic concept you mentioned at the beginning, and really kind of living in your project.
Mm.
Well, tweaking, I think it's a mild word. You're obviously like I'm just amazed by this control and sophistication that's in 100% of your imagery and your sound. I think it's a masterpiece in a way.
Wow, thank you so much. Thank you. I accept that comment.
Question mark.
Yeah.
First of all, I feel funny asking you a question like splayed out like this, but I really love like everyone's touching on it, like the texture, the sound, everything. You kind of mentioned it already, but like did you already envision this texture and feel and everything before the edit, or did you find a lot of this in the edit? Because the editing is really great as well. Or as you were, filming and everything, did you find any of the story through the edit or anything like that?
Yeah, well, a lot of the look was inspired by the lighting itself, made it have to be textural because things weren't properly lit, and so noise was built into it. And then I knew I was going to use that software afterwards to really fuck it up. And then I mean, so much of the story was like I was putting things in up until last week, like the cards at the beginning. There were some cards of some collages, and I was always putting in various collages to.
Collages are great.
Thank you, to help tell the story and move it along and sort of explain certain things that aren't explicitly said that hopefully we'll see through a metaphor of the collage.
Yeah.
Did that answer your question?
Yeah, for sure. The texture really lends itself to like the subject matter and the desperation and loneliness and everything. So yeah, really effective.
Thank you.
Yeah, nice work.
Oh, over there, yeah.
You can go.
First of all, this is extraordinary.
Thank you.
I just wanted to say that. I hope this is not a reductive question, so
Oh, boy.
please let me know.
Uh-huh.
But living inside of this film for so long, working through it for an entire year, and it's in your home, it's your body, it's your image, it's everything. I guess I'm just curious what your life was like while you were making the film, but not, like when you were in production, but not immediately making the film. How did it kind of, to what extent did it like seep into your day-to-day life, or how did you separate the two?
Yeah, a lot. I didn't separate it very well. I mean, obviously, I'm not going through these insane emotions, but I'm a bit of a workaholic, and so I was constantly working on this film as soon as it began until last week. So yeah, it really invaded my life in that way because I was able to access everything, and because I could always change it, and because I'm always available. I just kept going and going and going and going, and then taking a few months off to regain some sort of objectivity about the project. And yeah, the look was a whole thing, and yeah, and just all the evolutions. Like what we see now is maybe 20% is left from the first time I shot the entire movie. So like maybe 80% was reshot, and much of that was reshot again and again over the span of many months. So yeah, it was an interesting space to live in. And I will also say that although it doesn't extend for a long period of time, when you're putting yourself through those emotional states, it does physically affect you. And that's how I'm able to access it more than like thinking about something sad, or I just physically get myself to that space. So it does stay there for a little bit.
There was another question, yeah.
I guess I could ask this question. I've got many things to say and compliments. And
Thank you.
This movie was obviously excruciatingly uncomfortable at times and gruesomely powerful. And it came in full circle, which I have to applaud you for, because it was something at times where I was like, this is a dreadful experience, but I think that was the purpose of it. And
Imagine watching that like 100 times. Yeah.
So really, I do want to give you my deepest compliments because of this performative art piece that somebody said masterpiece. I mean, it's incredible to be created.
Thank you.
My question is, how are you doing?
I'm very pleased it's over. It was a very weird experience watching it with people because it really is so much about me. And I was like, oh God, there I am again. It's so much me doing so many things publicly now. But I am very proud of the film, and it was really exciting. And thank you, everybody, for being here with me to watch this film.
Thanks. I guess I wanted to get maybe piggybacking off of his question. Do you feel like it was cathartic? Were you able to work through some stuff on a personal level? If you feel comfortable sharing that.
I think. Well, it was cathartic in that I pushed myself to be uncomfortable as much as I can. And do things that I would normally say, oh, well, I probably shouldn't go that far. But things that, like, if another director that I respected asked me to do that as an actor, I would say, yes, of course. But because it's me, I'm like, well, I can't be responsible for this, But I said, well, I should treat myself as if I was, some great director that I want to work with and go all the way as an actor and push myself to the most uncomfortable, embarrassing things. Yeah.
Nice. So what have you been working on since? Well, I guess you just completed, but I know you. Well,
I'm working on a movie right now that's filming currently. I am looking for people who want to participate. It's filming in Mammoth Lakes. So if you saw that and thought, I want to be in that experience, I'm doing it again. It'll be slightly different, but as I found out this morning, not as different as I thought. And then I'm also working on a film that will have many people involved called Collapsar about a pandemic that we're not sure if it's really happening or not. And it causes someone to lose all memory and basically become nothing. And I'm the person that becomes nothing because, of course, I have to torture myself in every movie.
Well, thanks so much for sharing this with us.
Thank you
and
so
for
much.
premiering it with us. Really so great to have you back.
Thank you. So good to be here.